Good morning, comrades. You were watching Good Morning Comrade. You're listening to Good Morning Comrade on WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. It's our Tuesday radio show today. We have Jeff and Robert on the show. What's going on, Robert?
It's a terrible summer. The sea's on fire. Heat waves are killing people. My HVAC has been over taxed, so now it's dead.
So you don't have air conditioning in the middle of a New Orleans summer.
It's absolutely terrible, and I'm like putting together like a ragtag system of fans and portable air conditioner I bought for $3. Until we get it fixed. So it's going to cost $2,000 to fix this damn thing. Like, I'm lucky to have the money. Like, but I've just got to wait to withdraw it. I'm gonna have to sell some AMC to get it. We're still doing the AMC stock, but I'm just lucky that I even have that because it would be awful if we didn't.
Right.
So I got to suffer through that for a couple more days. Gonna watch the Stanley Cup champions. Tampa Bay Lightning win game 4 tonight. Complete their sweep in about an hour. That's gonna be good times. All Canadians.
You're listening to this and it's already happened. Look at that.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So I'll call that shot right now. I should have just drove out to Mississippi and just put whatever on the Lightning. Like, I don't care if they're like minus 400. Like, I'll take it. Should have just done it. But yeah, that's your sports and heat report from Mid-City New Orleans.
Yeah, and we just got off celebrating America yesterday.
That's awful.
As of recording, we had Robert and Aaron came by. We hung around, just kind of.
4th of July is so trash. It makes me. It's a holiday that makes me so angry.
Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, because I mean, did you see the video that's gone viral of like the dumbest, most American, but also the most American thing ever of just like, we don't deserve to have. Who's gonna come take us over? Seriously, like, did you see the video of like the idiots singing the Star Spangled Banner, which is a trash song at Walmart? In a Walmart, my dude, is so weird.
Lay it out here.
No, I mean, I just saw our friend Andrew was talking about it, and it's just a bunch of dummies like getting their natty and their great value, cheese flavored tortilla chips, and they just broke out into song of singing the national anthem. And not that I'm too good to shop at Walmart, right? I'm just really glad I would have lost it. I really would have. I'd have been like, so sing the next verse, sing the song, sing the verse that we don't want to talk about subjugating the slaves. But I bet most of y'all wouldn't have a problem with that. Most of y'all would be on board with that. You probably didn't know about it, but now that you do know about it, you're probably like, yeah, America, rock on. But yeah, who's gonna come take us over? The UN? Like, that was when I used to listen to like Alex Jones and we talk about, blue helmets are gonna come and they're gonna take it. I wish your nightmares are my dream. Please, somebody come in this. This is a joke. I mean, literally, we got seas on fire. The Olympics are coming up. This is the first Olympics I'm not gonna watch. Because it's just too much. It's too much. It's people getting banned for smoking weed, but then like you come to find out they're trash anyway from their social media. It's the Olympics that shouldn't even happen. COVID.
Shikari.
Man. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about. The lady with the hair.
She had I remember seeing those posts. So let's just set that story up a little bit.
Right.
She got banned from the Olympics because or she got banned from running. She's a 100-meter sprinter.
Sure. And
she got banned for smoking weed, which should make running harder, right?
I honestly thought, it's a suspension, but not as much as the
opposite of a performance enhancing drug. Why is that illegal at all?
I actually didn't know that that was something. I thought that was settled at some weird Winter Olympics where the American snowboard team got caught with THC, but then they're that's not performing. I thought that was settled already. Obviously, I'm wrong because she's not going to be able to run. But yeah,
but so she was banned, and it turned out that she was banned because she smoked weed because she had found out that her mother had died, shortly after that, and she started smoking weed. But what are you talking about with her tweets?
She's got really bad tweet history.
Oh yeah,
like it's like really homophobic. You haven't seen this?
Well, okay, I did see some of that, and
I was gonna say, if you want to do some real time,
but
investigative
gay
journalism,
though, right? Herself, like she herself is gay. She's a lesbian. Like one of the things that like about that, she's like 19 or something, or 20 years old, and like those were tweets from when she was like 15 or something. I don't know.
Like, you're talking about Lil Nas X though. That could have been that long ago, my dude.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I have to go back and look.
The point is, even if I'm wrong, and she is on the up and up, and like she's not a trash person with trash takes. Then I just it's too much. I just don't even care. Let's just take that away. Let's do the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, I haven't even got into it because it just makes me sick to look at. I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she's awesome Olympic person, and she never did anything problematic or said anything problematic on social media. Let's just say that it's too much. I'm not watching the Olympics. I can't get into it. This should have been the coolest Olympics ever. There should have been like Pikachu's running around and like 4K VR. There should have been like, I don't know, like Samus rolling into a ball and like hopping hurdles.
Mario at the Olympics. Mario actually at the Olympics.
Do you know how hard I marked out in Rio when like Shinzo Abe, who's a weird weird cultist, who wants he wanted to make Japan great again. He's like a right-wing reactionary that wanted to rebuild the Japanese empire. Do you know how hard I marked out when the closing ceremony at Rio, when he came out of that tube and he was in a Mario hat? I was just like, oh, I need to go to the Olympics. I need to go to Tokyo. I was like, it's 4 years away. I can put money away, and sure, I'm glad I didn't.
Right.
I'm done with it. I'm done with it, dude. I'm done with it. I'm just done with everything. It's all trash, except for the Lightning. The Lightning, when they win tonight, that will not be trash. But go ahead.
The only good sport and the only good team for right now,
pretty much.
Like the Rays or something. Get your Tampa mark.
Sure. Well, I mean, you want to talk about like, I'm glad Canada is getting their comeuppance in all things.
Yeah.
I mean, they find like Montreal's gonna lose tonight. That's gonna be great. And then everybody found out about the atrocities, not found out, it just finally got brought to light. All the atrocities that have been done against the indigenous people of Turtle Island for years. And
you're talking about mass graves.
Yeah.
Mass graves of up in like Vancouver and stuff.
Yep. So that's being brought to light, which is great because, Canada, they think they're like super superior. They think they're like, oh, we're so much better than those brutish Americans. But every atrocity and genocide that we've perpetrated down here, they've done up there. But they just pop their pinkies in the air while they do it.
Okay.
So pox on both their houses, U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go. U.S. and Canada both bad. You heard it here first, folks.
Bad.
You heard it here first, folks. So, but yeah, the other thing that's kind of like happening, I don't know if you'd seen this, but just this past week, Democratic Socialists of America have sent a delegation to Venezuela. They had pictures of DSA members like hanging out with Maduro and stuff. That's pretty sick.
I know you know that. I didn't know that until you told me yesterday, but I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And
I mean, let me pull up this article here,
please. My question is, how does one travel to? We don't have any kind of weird embargoes, right, against Venezuela or any kind of
same way that they have in like
Cuba.
Cuba, not the same way. No,
I think we can go directly to Cuba now, anyway. But I don't know. I
think that was something that existed.
Obama. Thanks, Obama.
It existed under the Obama administration. Right. Yes. However, I think it got rolled back under Trump.
You still got to fly to Mexico first now, which is
I think so. And so I'm not exactly sure, but there's an article right here from
trying to go to Cuba.
Actually, this is from the from Telesur. President Maduro meets with Democratic Socialists of America this Friday evening. This is this past Friday. the president of Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro Moros, held a meeting with the representatives of Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, the largest left-wing political organization in the United States. In this sense, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela strengthened its ties of cooperation, brotherhood, and solidarity with activists of these people and the people of the United States who fight for democracy. He did a tweet. There was a video of him hanging out with the DSA delegation. Like pretty crazy, like pretty sick stuff. Actually, when you think about it, that we have like it's very legitimizing for like a left organization, especially like one core sort of tenet of socialism is internationalism, right? And considering that we have our organization leaders meeting with other world leaders who are if you have critiques of Venezuela, whatever, but like that is a socialist state, and meeting the socialist president of that state, it means something, is meaningful.
Sure. I mean, that is meaningful. I guess people are big mad though. Like
people are big mad. The National Review is big mad about it. They have an article.
National Review. Who reads the National Review? Who reads the National Review? Seriously, who are their advertisers?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up right now. But yeah, so people are mad. The National, because people love to like. It's I don't like. Is that Godwin's law? Everything goes back to Hitler and the Nazis. But
so Godwin's law is essentially like first person to say not like say Hitler in a conversation or argument or whatever loses.
Yeah, it is. So that's not what I'm talking about. I guess so my thing is like it's a very Nazi ideology, and not that I would even say these National Review people are like people who are big mad. There's probably a ton of liberals who are big mad. They're not Nazis, but it's a very Nazi-esque tactic because it's so funny to watch. If you watch like, let's say you watch a day's worth of Fox News, you're going to hear two things. Like if they cover this, let's say they cover a DSA members going to Venezuela and Fox decides to cover it. You're going to hear Greg Gutfeld talk about how silly and dumb and these pink and blue haired, they don't even know what gender they are. They're so foolish. Socialists,
but also they're terrifying and they need to be stopped because
absolutely. And then 5 hours from that, you're going to hear how they're right outside your door and they're there to drink your blood. So it's like the idea that your enemy is infinitely strong and infinitely weak at the same time is a very National Socialist Party talking point.
No, like National Review is more like the intellectual wing of the right wing, the faux intellectual. I mean, the founder of it was that fucking what?
And that's why I'm looking who's their sponsors, because like you can tell who's reading stuff by like who is this for by like their sponsors.
Mm-hmm. Who are their sponsors?
I'm trying to find, but I can't really read anything. Maybe if I go right to their page, they'll have some ads. I'm still listening to you.
Oh no, I'm just
don't wait on me. I can do multiple. I got ADHD. I can do multiple things.
Yeah, sponsored the National Review. No, it's that they hide them pretty good.
That'll tell you who is this for? I mean,
it's more like the intellectual wing, the faux intellectual wing of like the right, right? Mm-hmm. That was like the entire angle. Like it was supposed to be like, oh yes, we are the intelligentsia of the conservative movement, and that's just like the entire point of it. Yeah,
there's no ads on here at all. Interesting. Sounds like looks like somebody's propped up by that. Oh God, what's the meme? By that. I keep wanting to say Jeff Bezos and that Soros money. Interesting. No ads. Must be Jeff Soros.
Yeah. Jeff Soros, Bezos.
Yeah. It's a combination of Bezos and Soros together.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that. Like, what if they fused? Like they did the fusion dance.
I know. But yeah, I'm sure it's some goofy Koch brothers thing. I'll have to look at that later. But I really am interested in who's funding anything. And if you'd like to fund our show, please, God.
Yeah, please.
I need that check so bad. It's so hot in this house.
Yeah.
I need that Soros check. Cool me down.
But yeah, so anyway, that's just a kind of a couple of things that are happening right now. I don't know how much like you've paid attention to well, okay, so I
you said pay attention. The odds are zero.
The odds are zero.
The odds are very low.
Uh-huh.
When you say words, have you paid attention?
No. I don't know how much you've paid attention to like a lot of these horrible like Supreme Court decisions that have been coming down too. Like there was one that essentially ruled in favor of a lot of the new sort of Jim Crow voting laws that have been implemented in Arizona specifically, not the ones in Georgia, but Arizona, which might open the door for like further, because one of the things that are happening, and like voting rights is like one thing, and like let's not be like too like naive about it. Like one of the things that like if there's going to be focusing on like elections and voting, which like conservatives been doing ever since like for years and years and years, but like they've really ramped it up after this last election with all the stop the steal stuff, right? But anyway, they have these voting laws and ID laws. That's important, but also like that's sucking up like so much energy and like taking the ideas or taking the conversation away from things like union rights, labor rights, and stuff like that. Because I think that there does have like some kind of like threshold by which you can only like have so many things that you're working on at once.
No, absolutely.
And I think I haven't heard PROAC mentioned on like by any politician in like a month. You know what I mean?
All right. It's kind of, we got into, we started talking about this yesterday. We were just hanging out. I think that's I don't know if reactionaries and right wingers are smart enough to be doing this on purpose, but it's a real thing no matter what. I don't know if there's some secret, underground like moon base where they're twirling mustaches, like launching things, but things like critical race theory, being brought into the public eye, things like these trans bills that these people bring up, they know they're never going to get, it's not going to pass. It's even if it passes in whatever state they're in, most of the governor, like in our state, the governor vetoed our goofy like anti-trans bill. And I think these things are brought up, one, to stir up, to win brownie points with your reactionary base, and then two, to take leftist movements and become a hydra with a million different heads. And so now you can't, like you said, you can't get to labor rights. You can't get to material things that are going to benefit people. You're constantly having to put out fires.
Yeah.
You're constantly having to like, these people are creating catastrophes and situations that we constantly have to put out. And it's like you even said to me, like, oh, I don't know if you've been paying attention. Yeah, chances are no, because this stuff is exhausting. It's so exhausting. Like, it's like I've turned on Twitter. What am I gonna, what sign is it that the world is gonna end today? Like, what am I gonna get mad about today? And I don't mean that in the thing of like, oh, I let things get to me, or people like just log off and put grass on your feet. I mean, no, it really is that bad. It's a weird thing. It really is that bad. We're being attacked on all fronts by like this tiger that's dying, this bear that's like dying its last breath of like reactionary, classist, racism, and it's just flailing its claws around, trying to breathe its last breath. But the thing we have to remember is like we're winning. We really are. Like, if you spend as much time as I do looking at weird reactionaries like online as like debate bros, like I love debate bro stuff, you sit them down, one of their like attack lines is like how bad they're losing. They're like, we've lost this, we've lost that. Yeah, you're going to keep losing. You're a conservative. That's never worked. That's never worked in society. That's an ideology that's dead on arrival, because you will never be able to lock in culture ever. So it's almost like they
can do a lot of damage though, right?
They can do a lot of damage on the way down, but they will lose. They will lose. History has shown they will lose, and they are losing as we speak. It's just the terrible stuff that like individual people have to go through, and we have to like constantly put out fires and try to alleviate pain of the individual, which is a great mission to do. But don't get disheartened, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We are winning.
Yeah.
We have an avowed social, like a great thing we talked about the Buffalo mayor's race.
Yeah. India.
We're gonna have a socialist in Buffalo as the mayor, an avowed socialist. But look at these reactionaries, even liberal reactionaries. This dude the incumbent who's in the mayor office right now, instead of just taking the L and graciously going on to his consulting
Democrat,
job,
by the way.
Like I said, these liberals going on to his consulting lobbyist job, he's gonna like I said again, a dead dying tiger. He's gonna claw tooth and nail, and he's trying to run some kind of write-in campaign saying that, oh, we don't want to be. I've talked to people and they don't want a socialist in the mayor's office. Well, people voted for a
socialist. They just voted against you, dude. You just lost.
Yeah.
They voted for the socialist over you.
They'll try anything. They're sitting. Again, going back to Nazis, they're sitting in the fear bunker trying anything because both they're getting squeezed by both sides, Eastern and Western Front, and we are going to win. Do not get disheartened.
Yeah. So, on the India Walton sort of like issue, that was like a really kind of like shocking and interesting development to see like an actual socialist who actually like worked her entire lives. Worked their entire lives that her entire life, like from 14 she was a parent. She worked like hard like nursing type jobs. She like was a union leader in her union, like one of these actual like real deal cases and stuff like that. It's pretty sweet to see that kind of happening in a city like Buffalo, which like I mean I guess it's sort of like always had like a Democrat lock or whatever on the system, but like it shows you what's potentially possible, and she hasn't served a day as governor yet, so like maybe she's going to be a disappointment or whatever, but like there's possibilities that people are like, I'm not like hoping for that. I'm not trying to speak that into existence or anything, but it shows that people are willing to like support that and get behind those ideas that we constantly get told are like dead on arrival, by the way. Like a lot of like libs and a lot of conservatives are like socialism, ew. And like most people actually don't care about that stuff.
Well, what you said is important. We already need to be bracing ourselves, but because what's going to happen is she's going to get in office, and these weirdos that are supposedly supposed to be on our team, our side, are going to be like, well, I don't understand why she just didn't burn down the mayor's office on day one and institute. I don't understand why she didn't change the Buffalo national song as the Internationale to be played at every single Buffalo Bills game. I'm like, shut up.
Why will India Walton not force the hashtag vote for Medicare for all?
Wait, I heard India Walton had Chipotle for lunch. Shouldn't she be eating the rich? Like she, shut up, shut up. It's like she is a politician, not a revolutionary. Like, and I have nothing against revolutionaries, but you have to. I have fights with weirdos online all the time. The same thing. They're like, because a lot of this comes from like AOC. They're like, I don't understand. AOC is a sellout, and I'm like, she is one person in the House of Representatives. What are you talking about? What do you want her to do? Just like cut off the heads of her enemies and like drink their blood? Like that's not how any of this works. And if you think that's how this works, you first, comrade, go for it. What is your big plan? Oh, you don't have one?
In fact,
shut up.
Lee Carter in Wisconsin, I mean, in Virginia tried to do that. He got elected. He was basically a fire breather for one term, and he got turfed out of office immediately. So, I mean, like, whatever.
It's a little different, and I'll tell you why.
He's kind of a freak too. Yeah, I know.
I don't care about that part, the freak part. There's nothing wrong with like dying, like going out on your shield. I'd rather serve. If I was to be elected for anything, I'd rather be one term and actually like try to put a bunch of stuff through and then try to get stuff done than to play the game for 50 years and do nothing. But that's not what the quote unquote squad is doing. They are working the system to like in the ways that they work it. It's not like they just showed up and they're like, oh, we're centrist now. They are not doing that. And the thing is, even if they were, like the right-wing reactionaries will call them out anyway as some kind of like radical weirdos, which they are not.
They do it wrong.
But I mean, I have a lot of feelings about this. Like, I feel they're fine, but I feel like there are people who get elected as Democrats especially in our city, where it's like the people who hate you are going to hate you anyway. So why don't you just like, why they think you're an angry, aggressive person and a socialist. So why don't you just like come on over to us, like, because they don't like you anyway. Stop trying to sit at the lunch table where you're never going to be able to sit. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like not what the squad is trying to do, but that's what like a lot of Democratic politicians try to do. I think of like, you talk about India working, she's like had a quote unquote like working class life. And there's nothing like, that's great, but there's nothing wrong if you're like an academic either. Because the thing is, our enemies are going to like either way. They're going to, okay, AOC, for example, they try to say, oh, you're a bartender and you don't know anything. You're too stupid. They say Bernie Sanders. Say Bernie Sanders is a failed carpenter. I'm a failed carpenter. Like, but they'd be like, oh, you don't know anything. You barely won for mayor. Like, you're so stupid. You don't know how the world works. Now, if somebody's like, is an academic, I'm trying to think of one right now who's kind of like, they kind of, the lines of academia and they get into some kind of political power. It's the first thing they're going to say, oh, you never worked a real job. You don't know what it's like, to quote Sam Cedar, you don't know what it's like to manage a Denny's. Yeah. So you don't know how
some kind of like bad faith critique you can throw out at somebody if you want.
Yeah. So the point of what I'm saying is don't even worry about it. Mm-hmm. Just do your thing. I'd rather have 1 million Lee Carters than 1 million that go down in flames than like one Stacey Abrams who's just like, I'm a street fighter, but I'm not at all. Like, you don't do me any good. There's other people I could talk about in our state, but I try to like, I don't want to suck up to our state politicians, but I don't want to isolate them either. We're here for you, state politicians in Louisiana. Just come on over. Just get crazy with it. Be a little radical.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. It'll be fun.
It will be. Cigarettes. It will be.
We have cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's way cooler over here.
Way cooler.
Anyway, you are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade, goodmorningcomrade.com. Jeff and Robert on the show. I want to talk about kind of a sad story that out of Miami. Have you seen this building that's collapsed out there? And like I've read quite a bit on the live stream.
Yeah, Hassan Piker's got the right take. It's just it's just like, this is what, because he's from Turkey. He goes, this is kind of stuff that happens in Turkey. Like this is like what's not supposed to happen in America. This is a direct cause. Capitalism caused this. Third world country with a Gucci belt.
So the most recent development, so just to kind of set the story up for our audience, a condo building collapsed in Miami. There was a lot of like structural like problems and codes sort of like violations that were not being followed. Mm-hmm. And the most recent development is that 27 people have been found like dead. And there's still over 100 people that are unaccounted for. And many of those searches, let me just read from the article, because there's a hurricane in the Gulf coming for like essentially potentially Florida right now, right?
It's a tropical storm, but it's better. It just got downgraded, but that doesn't mean much in the way of like from 1 mile an hour to 1 mile an hour separates a hurrane from a tropical storm. But yeah,
what it means,
it's coming to my hometown on Tuesday.
Having a faulty, falling apart, crumbling rubble building, it like being hit by a hurricane would be extremely bad. So what they're going to do is take down the rest of the structure, and the 115 people that are still not been found. Essentially, that's going to be the end of that search. Mm-hmm. So, really, the number, I mean, the official death toll is 27, but it looks like it's going to be like over 140 people. Wild.
And again, just to go on like capitalism, this is the one thing where I feel like enough tankies that I follow on online are not. If I was a tankie, I would be pushing this to the hilt as far as like, this is what capitalism.
What do you mean when you say tankie, by the way?
The tankies who are just like, people who like, they think for some reason like China is like a socialist utopia. And it's like, it's absolutely not. It's a controlled economy, but it's not like there are so many poor people in China that don't have decent housing because all the resources go to the rich people like in the cities. Like it's not a utopia, but they do some things right. They do some things right that we could like look at, like as far as like public transportation and stuff like that. Things that things that they do that are just straight up Orwellian, like actually Orwellian, not like fake, like I just need to try to get some clicks Orwellian, like social credit score stuff. Like no, that's really bad. But it's like these people who can't, they think because the US empire is so bad,
anything is better than
anything
that.
else is better, and that is not true at all. But if I was a tanky, I'd be pushing this to the hilt because like, okay, so I think I was going to do a disclosure, like Robert Johnson and Good Morning Comrade are not tankies. I do not think that everything that the Chinese government does is good. The majority of things they do are bad, but I do believe that we could learn some things from them.
Yeah, and we can acknowledge the good things and the bad things all like at the same time. Like so these things are complicated, and you know we have to come to terms with a lot of this stuff.
So here's my point: if this happens in China, if they decide to use substandard building practices to put something up quick and dirty, and this happens, they just kill you. It's like Code of Hammurabi. Like they're just like, oh, you're responsible for all these deaths. Well, we're gonna kill you then. And I'm not saying
it really is a crime though. Like literally,
it really is. I'm not making it. I'm not being hyperbolic at all. So I'm not saying we don't need to go that far. Well, we don't need to do that, but we need to. There's a balance of like, if you do this, and I know we have regulation, but again, capitalism screws that up because the government, because of lobbyist organizations, and they get money from these contracts and stuff. They don't want to go after these people, but if we go after these people and put the fear of God in them and say like, look, if this happens on your watch and we found out you did it because of negligence, because you were trying to cut corners, you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that is like, no, it's not that. I don't think it would be controversial to view the negligence in maintaining, because this was an older building, but like it
wasn't from the 80s, dude.
From the 80s, okay, like
it's like barely older than it's. I think I'm older than that building.
Okay, let's put that part aside. That's not my point.
All right.
Like the fact that it was a building that was like not maintained properly, I think we can agree on that. And like somebody should be held responsible for that, and like the negligence of doing that, and that has caused the 27 people who are confirmed dead and the 115 people who are missing. Like that is a crime. That should be a crime, right? Like that's wild to me that would be something that you would just sort of like look past or do fine. I mean, even the Hard Rock, around here, which was a different situation in a lot of ways. But the Hard Rock, when that collapsed, I mean, what, 4 people died or something like that?
They use non-union labor.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And one of the key points on that is unions comes more safety regulations because the workers want to be safe. But like I guess my point here is that like these kinds of things that are viewed or framed as tragedies are crimes. Like they just are.
No, that's exactly right. It is not an oopsie. This is just a thing that happens. This is a crime that people did they did this crime so they could save a couple dollars in the same country. Legally, capitalism had people working for free. Like this is a crime. It's a crime that gets covered by capitalism. Just like the Hard Rock here, nobody's going to prison for that, and they should, but nobody will because capitalism will protect these people.
Yeah, and like when I say it's a crime, I don't mean like it's legally a crime. Like the point is that it's not legally a crime when it should be. Like it should be illegal to cut corners. Somebody has to be held responsible when a building collapsed and 27 people died and 115 people are missing. And you have, it's wild, the idea that like like if somebody could just like throw their hands up, say, you know, oopsie doopsie, I'll do better next time. But if you do anything to us, if you punish us in any way, then no one will ever build a building again. You know, that's
There's
sort of like the argument that people love.
Super takedown of this exact like line of thinking that Joe Rogan has when he takes down Dave Rubin. Because Dave Rubin's talking about like, oh, there's too many building code regulations and this and that. And
competition would start kicking in.
Yeah, and yada competition starts kicking in. Joe Rogan goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "These people will put up houses for and buildings for the least amount of money as possible, and just to do it to try to maximize their profit. If you don't have regulations, there'll be bodies under buildings." Like he literally says that, and it's like, yeah, you can easily search that, and it's like one of the simplistic like takedowns of. Libertarian capitalism, laissez-faire economics, and it's just in a very concise way.
Why didn't those 143 people, 142 people pull themselves out of their bootstraps, up by their bootstraps, and not get crushed by the building?
Well, I mean, the libertarian argument would be is why didn't they inspect the building themselves before they
individually?
Why didn't they go to architecture school for like 8 years? And then graduate from that, get a degree as an architect? Why didn't they become a general contractor and understand the quality, what are good quality building materials or not quality building materials, and inspect every floor of that building themselves before they sign the lease? I mean, it's caveat emptor. It's buyer beware. Why didn't they read the Yelp reviews of? Because I'm sure every Yelp review about that apartment complex had stuff about the
structural integrity.
Integrity of the building. Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you just do that?
Deeply inspected by every single rational human being who works there. Because, that libertarians fascinate me. They really do. Because, like, they always put any possible thing that could ever happen to anybody on an individual. Like, it's always like, oh wow, that happened to you. Looks like it's your fault. There's always a way that they can like weasel that around. You know what I mean? Like, you just weren't strong enough. Too bad. You weren't smart enough. Too bad.
No, absolutely. I heard a good one the other day. I like to listen to old like Sam Cedar libertarian debates, and there was a guy who was like, so Sam Cedar's like, oh, I'm sure you're against slavery, and he goes, well, I'm against it, but I personally, but I feel like, I'm quoting this directly because it killed me laughing. He goes, I feel like, if a state, states' rights are supreme. So if everybody in the state like voted for it, you'd have to have it. I was like, what? If everybody voted for it, dude?
Well, what if it takes away liberty?
What if everybody voted for it? Like, it's like your thought process is so silly. And the thing about libertarians, and the thing about, like you said, laissez-faire capitalists, libertarians, and even a lot of conservatives who are just like, we should drown government in the bathtub. You wouldn't survive your own worldview. You wouldn't make it, because
steamroll you.
All these guys in their all these guys in their fantasy world, they think they're Lord Humongous. They don't think they're the guy who's strapped to the front of the death wagon in Mad Max. They can't see it any other way. Yeah. They somehow in their head,
character syndrome is what it is. It's main character syndrome. They think they're the only person that matters in the world.
Exactly. I mean, and that was a thing that kind of a weird thing about how, I don't know if this is a non sequitur, but when Biden said that, like last week, when he was talking about gun control, he's like, well, if everybody had AR-15s, that's not going to do anything when the tanks roll out. Like everybody like got up in arms, even lefties. But I'm like, he's right though.
Oh, he is right.
He's right, but like for the wrong reasons. I don't necessarily need my weapon to like protect me against the government. As a black man, I need my gun to protect me against reactionaries who don't think I have the right to exist. So, and they don't have tanks yet.
Yeah. I mean, but the way
if they did, I hope they stock them at Cabela's or whatever, so I can get
Cabela's. Cabela's at the Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah. Sportsman's Warehouse. That's a Louisiana gun store.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
It's in Slido. It's cool. Sometimes before the range, I'll go out there because the Honey Island range.
Oh, I didn't know they had a range out there.
Yeah, it's nice. It's sweet. It's out in the swamp. It's pretty cool.
I don't go to Slido that much these days.
I don't know. It's not much to see except they do have a Kohl's, Old Navy, a Dillard's, a Chipotle.
That's all new. I used to work.
I don't care.
There.
We're not. It's convenient. It's more convenient for me going like if I'm trying to buy a piece of clothing, it's more convenient to go there for me than to go to like the mall. Which I'm mad, and then I have to drive to Elmwood, see what's out Old Navy. I rather just take the one drive to Slidell, hit the 4 stores, and then be gone.
Boom. There you go. There you go.
But yeah. So what were we even talking about?
We were
buildings. How when buildings are manufactured terribly, it's obviously capitalism's fault, and that's not hyperbole. Like it's
a systemic problem. Yeah, individuals are responsible, right? So, like in a certain sense, there is a systemic like a systemic incentive to do that. So, like it's a crime, but like the ultimate like this is going to sound like it's exonerating. It's going to sound like actually like I'm contradicting what I was saying earlier, but like it isn't an accident that like the system is set up that way, because when like cutting corners is essentially a rational act, and like it is a crime to do that, yes, like morally speaking, but also like there's a lot of pressure within the system for people to do that because it's so profitable. It's
the free market has the quote unquote free market has no it's amoral. It's not immoral. Mm-hmm. There is no morality. The only thing it's there to do is just to generate more profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's like it's the same thing we talked about the other day. Like I was in Cincinnati seeing my folks, and I was like, man, I really do love what they put in this streetcar, this light rail system that takes you from.
Talk about that. Yeah, you went back to Cincinnati recently.
Yeah, I did. There's a Cincinnati Reds joke in there somewhere. We really need to like get on Cincy DSA like really needs like a Cincinnati Reds like parody shirt,
or like just graphic design that's evocative of that.
Yeah, I had that thought at the gym today. I was like, man, I should.
What happened in Cincinnati?
I was just like, they built a streetcar. I talked about it some like a couple episodes ago. They built this streetcar that goes from like the super bougie part, gentrified part of downtown Cincinnati called Over the Rhine now. It used to be, quote unquote, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America, but that's only because it's per capita and people, there's not a ton of people in Cincinnati. People forget to leave that out. But whatever, it's gentrified. You can get 50 different kinds of like brunch. But I like that kind of stuff. Like, whatever. So you can take that all the way down to the river now, and that's like, that's where the museum is, it's where the casino is, it's where that's where the Reds play, that's where the Bengals play, the whole bit. And it's free. And I was talking to my parents about it. I was like, man, I really like this. Like, that's so cool they did that. He's like, oh, it's not that great. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, not a lot of people ride it. I was like, well, honestly, not a lot of people ride it because it's not big enough. Like, it needs to go the whole US 275 loop around the city. Mm-hmm. And then it needs to connect the whole city. That's why not that many people ride it. And I go, plus that thing was packed when we went down and back to go down to the river, and then we went back to our car, and like the bougie like University of Cincinnati neighborhood and Over the Rhine, and it's like it was packed. And my mom goes, oh, that's just because there was a game. And I was like, well, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah,
to move money from like, it's not there to make money. Like, don't you understand? It's not there to like, oh, we're going to make so much money off of this. It's there to move money. Mm-hmm. If you look at in the most socialist, egalitarian way we can look at it, it's there to move people from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at it as like, in the most cynical way, it's there to move money. So I can spend, I didn't have to pay for parking in 2 different places. I could eat brunch in one place, and I can go get a drink at the river and go do river things. Like, I can go watch the game. I can go to the slavery museum. Like, that's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it necessarily doesn't have to. It's like, the city deserves good things, y'all. Like, where do you want your tax dollars to go if it's not for things like this?
Well, see, that's part of the question, right? Or part of the problem in a lot of ways. Like specifically the way that we've been programmed to think for the past, 50 or so years is that the public can do no good. There is no, like, it's like the stupid Thatcher line. It's like, there is no society. There's only the individual. And like, when you frame things like that, and you frame like even like a really great service, like you're just talking about, like
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah,
again, I would love to drop her into her own. Like, if I could resurrect her and then pluck her in her and drop her in her own worldview,
mm-hmm.
and let's have like a Running Man. See how long you can last in the zone
mm-hmm.
as a 90-pound British lady.
Mm-hmm.
Not very long.
Yeah.
In the Running Man zone.
Do it. We should do that. We should.
It's all against all.
Maybe we should start writing this.
There's been better dystopias. You should read. The Running Man is actually like super, like, not the movie, but the show is so, not the movie, but the book. The book. I'm sorry.
The book. That a book.
Yeah, it's written by Stephen King. He just did a pen name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Stephen King's a pen name, but he didn't use his real name either when he wrote the Running Man. But it's really,
how is the book different?
The game takes place all across the United States, and you're not like a political prisoner. You do it to like make money.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, because like things are so it's like the Hunger Games, like, that has a bite to it. And he knew, like, every time he kept surviving, he would make more money. So it's like, so his family, he knew his family would be good. And then he finally like takes a dive because no one can ever win the game, but he ends up like killing a network exec or something like that at the end. I can't remember, but like, when he does it, so it's like, oh, like, people can, like, my family would be set up for life or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's a lot darker with like no good ending. But yeah, again, like, so if we set up the kind of situation, the world where there's no society, only individuals, there's people who espouse that would not survive that. They wouldn't last 20. If we just want to do the purge, I don't think you're lasting 72 hours.
Well, and the other thing too is like the people that say that kind of stuff are like already rich. They already have everything. They're already in the position where they don't have to like worry about those kinds of problems. Like, oh yeah, again, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Be like me, the paragon of virtue who has lots of money. How can you tell that I have virtue? Because of my wealth. Like, that's,
you're right, but it filters down to like random weirdos who think that they will be like, they are those people too, and you're not.
Yeah, those people are like totally cucked, right?
You're not. It filters down to like middle class people, or even upper. Like, I wouldn't even say middle class people, like rich people who think like in that world they would be successful. Like, they wouldn't be, because the actual 1% would just close the gates to them and leave them to fend for their own, and they couldn't buy the security and protection that they. And they're one or two. Guess what, bro? You only got 2 hands. I don't care if you got 50 guns.
Right.
You can only shoot one at a time, and ammo ain't cheap. Like $1 a round for like 9 mil right now. Ammo ain't cheap.
Expensive.
It's like 80 cents a round. Yeah.
You are listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. GoodMorningComrade.com. Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, going to the range, you basically spending like $50 no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Gee.
Oh, yeah. So imagine in that Mad Max world that they dream of, that pull yourself up by your, and it's all against all, and there's no more society. Imagine how you think they think they're gonna get their hands on ammo. Like, even if you watch, I feel like I've said this before. Even if you watch, like, I watch like survivalist people on YouTube or whatever, and these people are like all of them, even if they hide their politics, you can just tell they're not politically aligned with us. But even they will tell you the ones that make sense, the ones that are just like, I'm not LARPing, like, here's my stuff. They go, if society breaks down, you're not going to be a rugged individual. You're going to have to like form a new society with other people. Like, even they get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's libertarians are weird because they're like, let's get rid of society and then let's get rid of government so we can do another government with extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's really odd because you start talking to them like, well, how do I settle disagreements? Like, what happens if you're on my land? And we're like, well, it's my land. I'm like, well, who says it's your land?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got the deed from the government. Well, yeah. I would get my government. It's the Walter Block thing. Who lives here in New Orleans? So, well, you would get your courts and I would get my courts. And I'm like, what if we just kill your court?
Yeah.
Like, what happens then, bro?
One of the things, by the way, that about a month ago or so, I went on Ben Burgess' show, Give Them an Argument, with me, our buddy Ben Yudishin, and we watched one of those Sam Cedar debates with a libertarian. I don't know if you took a look at it.
I watch them all the time. I probably know the exact thing you're talking about.
But this is one guy who like basically like started down the line of like, yes, you get a you would get a company that would determine like this is your land. They both have a claim, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to basically at the end of the day, and much to this libertarian's credit, he basically said, oh, well, then we just, if somebody just doesn't continues to the risk or whatever, we would just kill them. He basically went and straight up like did the thing where libertarians are not supposed to do, which is like he actually talks about the violence that expects to happen,
and at least that's honest. Like in his dream scenario, he's the one that survives that.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't he be? Because these people who espouse this, like for most of the time, are just like privileged white guys. So like history has shown that like privileged white guys have done pretty good. Why wouldn't they survive this too?
Right.
You know, you don't see like a ton of black like libertarians, and the ones that you do see like get clowned real hard.
Mm-hmm. They go extra hard too. They go extra hard, like the anti-driver's license types.
Oh, you mean like sovereign citizens? That's a different.
Well, no. Not even sovereign citizens, but they're against driver's license because like they don't want big government coming in to tell them that they need a license to drive their car. It's incredible. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I watch some people on YouTube. They make me laugh. They'll go to court and be like, "Well, I don't have a name.
I don't recognize your state.
I don't recognize this court and all that." Like, well, my man, like, do I get to go somewhere?
Do you not recognize prison, dude?
Right. I don't understand. Like,
you're gonna be in there regardless, whether or not you recognize it.
I understand you didn't agree to, when you open this Monopoly game, you didn't necessarily agree to the rules, but this is what we're playing right now. So if you want to change it, there's ways to do that. But
yeah,
this is what we're playing right now.
Yeah, and they get like so many of these things like partway right. Like they're like sometimes they're right when they start to like talk about like injustice in the system, whatever, and like all these other things. But they always like instead of making the systemic critique, where they would come in and they would say like actually, so this problem needs to work for everybody more, which is like the most obvious and logical conclusion. They go they choose violence every single time, and they're like, well, that's why I have to like accumulate as many resources as possible at the expense of everybody else, right? That's why greed is good, and it's why selfishness is important, and it's why like I'm a survivor and other people aren't. Like it's all about virtue signaling,
right? And that's that's funny. That's really not telling, but that's really coincidental that you use the meme, I choose violence, because they in their heads they think that the mountain works for them, and they don't think they're the faith militant, and in reality they would be the faith militant, and then whoever they're trying to like assert their rights to are they're gonna step aside, and the mountain's gonna be there, and he's gonna tear their heads off.
Right.
And like that's how that's going to work. Like you are not you Joe Sixpack are not going to become feudal warlord of Amite, Louisiana. It's not gonna happen, bro. Guarantee you.
You're the Duke of A meat.
No, it's gonna be the other way.
Mm-hmm.
The other way. So if you again, like, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where we're at. I want to shout out because I want to say this as like a reminder to myself as we kind of wrap up here. So we do wrap up, not kind of. Why do people say that? I hate that. People are like, I think I'm gonna go. Like, you know you're leaving.
Yeah.
You know you're leaving. Like, stop playing with me. Stop. Yeah. But I wanna start doing a thing to where we kind of shout out political prisoners.
Yeah.
And we connect them with our listenership so they can, you know, either put some money on their books or just write letters of support. Because, I mean, not to be flippant, but they got time to kill. You know, they want to read letters. Here's one. She's been sentenced, but she hasn't settled. She hasn't reported to prison yet. And I'm going to talk more about her like later and put some stuff on our Twitter. I think I already have shared it, but as soon as we get her information of like her federal number and, you know, where she's at, so that way we can start supporting her, we will do so. But this one really struck me because she was a water protector, somebody that she protested at the Keystone Pipeline, and they won. You know, like they won. That's like the pipeline's not being built, but she's going to get sentenced to. She's been sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. So I'm just going to read from her Twitter, or from Resist Line 3's Twitter at Resist Line 3.
What's her name?
Jessica Resnick. I hope I'm saying her last name right. An immensely strong and courageous water protector was sentenced on Wednesday to 8 years in federal prison for her actions to stop DAPL. She said, "I'm saddened to be preparing for prison. My spirit remains strong. However, as I feel held in love, support, and prayer by so many near and far, regardless of my sentence, I am hopeful that movements to protect the water live on in the struggles against." The judge sided with federal prosecutors and applied a domestic terrorism enhancement to Jessica's case, saying it was necessary to discourage others from taking similar actions. That part really stuck with me because, like, I could be this lady, you could be this lady, like any one of us, you know, in the protest actions, the direct action stuff that we get involved with, you know, we go to a thing that we know is right. We know we're on the right side of history. Our side even wins, like materially, like this thing's not going to go through. Obviously it's the right thing. And she's going to go to prison for almost a dime. You know, so we need to support her as soon. And I'll be looking for her information as soon as she gets settled in, so we can bombard her with letters and support to help her through this time. This is awful.
Sure, and we can find more information on that from our Twitter at Comrade Morning, which was mostly Robert posting over there.
It's me.
Yeah,
I gotta reach out.
You can also follow. I'm barely on Twitter over there. I post on my account at Eminent Prof, and you can also get more information about what's going to happen on our show and also how to support the show at goodmorningcomrade.com. It's time for us to. I think we're gonna go. Robert, I think we're gonna go. So it's about that time. So anything you want to say on the way out?
No, I'm good. Yeah, just support political prisoners everywhere, and don't be a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, I can do one of those two things. But anyway, yeah. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Thanks to the people that are in chat joining us. And yeah, we love you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
All right, let me record this.